Guess what's that?
Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening.
Good evening. I'll call this meeting of the Pascagoula-Gautier School Board together as the December meeting. And we'll open the meeting with a presentation of colors and a prayer. All stand, please. Thank you. Ms. Rumenap, if you'll have minutes note that all 5 board members are present. We have an agenda before us, gentlemen. Do we have anything that needs to be added, Mr. Superintendent? No? Board members? No? Need a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, Mr. Buchanan, at this time I would ask that the board members, Ms. Jackson, Mr. Bax, Mr. Johnson, if y'all would all join me here in the corner, please.
Public law. For public law.
This is a little bit out of the norm for the board, but being that we have a new member coming on board and we have a member who has spent 3 decades on our board departing, we wanted to give him a memento from the school district. Pascagoula-Gautier School District Board of Trustees honors Trustee Daniel Marks for his dedicated service to the students and employees of the Pascagoula-Gautier School District for August 1989 until December 2018. Please help me congratulate Mr. Marks.
Stand up front.
Well, you're going to we don't have to get beside you.
I'll stand with that.
Now you want to come over here and stand with Ann, or that?
Sir?
You got it, you got it.
I got it. Thank
Got it?
you.
Thank you. Well, thank you.
Thank
Didn't understand the name card.
What I do want to add for the record, Mr. Buchanan, if I may, that Dan Marks, in his 30 years or 3 decades of service, had the courage on, I believe, 2 separate occasions to put his name on a court case that has provided over $100 million worth of opportunities for the children in this district. So we sincerely appreciate you having the courage to do that, Mr. Marks, from a school district administration, teachers, student standpoint. And just want to say thank you
Thank you.
for your contribution.
Thank you. It's, it pales in comparison with the daily work that y'all do in administration and teaching our students. I think the greatest thing that has occurred, at least during my term, is that I think students have a lot better opportunities to receive a good education. That satisfaction, that's my satisfaction anyway with the years that we put in together. So thank y'all for y'all's hard work, every one of you.
Board members, do you have any comments?
Just thank you. Again, echo the sentiments of the administration. I know the process may not be familiar to a lot of people, but the board makeup and state law dictates that representatives from Gautier are actually elected to the board by popular vote instead of appointed. And so you have to constantly balance maintaining the satisfaction of your entire community while doing what's right for the children, while maintaining good relationships with the administration. And for someone to do that successfully for that type of a term, I think it does just speak to Mr. Marks as a person, contributions that he's made, and we do appreciate everything he's done.
I've served on the board with Mr. Marks for 9 years now, and we've gone through a lot. And, anytime he brought something up, or anytime he wanted discussing anything, it was all, first and foremost, motivation there was the students. Never once did he say, well, I think, the parents or the community, it was these students, because I know a lot of people think that we need to satisfy everybody in the community, but first and foremost, we need to make sure that our children get a good education. And sometimes that doesn't always make everyone happy with the decisions we make, but there's a lot that goes on that a lot of people don't know, especially the general public. I taught in the classroom in the district for 32 years, and I thought I knew everything about education. I got on this board. I didn't know anything about what went on behind the scenes, and it is just so much when you look at our leadership team. It's amazing the effort they put into bringing a good education, good facilities, and everything that a student might need to accomplish his goals and getting a good education. And Mr. Marks has been a big part of that, and I thank you, Mr. Marks.
Thank you.
Any comment? Think of comment?
I've only been here a little over a year, but I do appreciate all the contributions that you've made. That's something to be proud of. 30 years of keeping that balance.
Thank you. When I came on the board 19 years ago, Dan wasn't the senior member on the board. We had people who had been there longer, but he got to that status really quick when those two guys retired. And I could always count on him to bring up something well thought out and say, this is what I think we ought to be doing. And we can discuss it, and not all your ideas came to fruition, Dan.
Not yet.
But most of them got there in some form. So, and that's what we do, is we listen to our community and try and influence the administration. If they haven't heard the story that you're hearing from the community, let's influence that, and let's make it so that we get our children educated. There's a whole bunch to teaching a kid. And I watch it in our Sunday school classes, I watch it in our classrooms in the school, and I'll tell you, parents, you just don't understand it until you've been there. Holding 25 kids, or 20, the big test that was given to me several years ago for an elementary teacher, if you can put 25 corks in a bucket of water and hold them all underwater at the same time, you'll be a good education teacher. But elementary teacher. But that's is classroom management is one of the things that really comes up, and we pushed on that. Getting the finances for it is one of Dan's has been one of his big thrusts, and we just appreciate you. I do. Your guidance and assistance over 30 years, especially the 20 I've been on the board, 19 that I've been on the board. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Radovich, do we have any visitors?
We have visitors, but all the visitors are listed in executive session for exceptions to board policies.
Okay.
We'll get from them then.
So we're ready for item 2, the consent agenda.
When grouping several routine items into a single consent agenda, any board member may request that any or all items on the consent agenda be removed and considered as separate items. If no such request is made, all items on the consent agenda may be approved by a single action. Motion second, vote of the Board of Trustees. Consent agenda for December 10th, 2018. Request for approval of board meeting minutes, November 12th, 2018. Request for approval of personnel resignations recommendations. Request for approval of docket of claims for 2018. Request for approval of student assignments and transfers. Request for enrollment of out-of-district student whose parent is an employee. Request to accept donations and grants. Request for approval of used facility. Request for approval of removal of equipment from inventory and disposal. Request for approval to advertise for E-rate bid for FY19. Request for approval of application certificates of payments. Request for approval of Families First alternate graduation route for students, memorandum of understanding. Request for approval to reinstate MAAP SATP exemption policy. Request for approval of 2018-19 athletic supplements. Request for approval to host Coast East versus West All-Star soccer game. Request for approval of overnight field trip PHS Math Science competition. Request for approval of overnight field trip PHS Math Science competition 2. Request for approval of overnight field trip PHS basketball. Request for approval of overnight field trip PHS ROTC. Request for approval of overnight field trip CCTI robotics. Request for approval of overnight field trip GHS theater production team. Request for approval of overnight field trip PHS speech and debate. Request for approval of retroactive pay for teachers. It's recommended that all items on the consent agenda for December 10th, 2018 be approved.
For the benefit of the public, these are all items that were in our packet, have been explained, and we've had the opportunity to discuss them. Is there any of these items that we need, board members would like to vote on separately?
I'd like to look at L if we can,
As a separate vote?
please.
Okay. Room that, would you make an action item for that one? That item being removed from this list and made a separate item. Do I hear a motion to approve all the remaining items?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Any discussion on any of the items that individually? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It would be 5-0 to approve that. Now we're down to item 3A, Mr. Godolphin.
Bids for the Pascagoula High School roof replacement were opened on December 4, 2018. A total of 5 bids were received, with the apparent low bidder, Mandels Incorporated, following the bid opening. Mandels submitted the attached letter, request withdrawal of the bid. In addition, attached is the bidding law that pertains to the situation. Mr. Ryan Fork, JBHM Architect, has reviewed the bid and has recommended the Board of Trustees allow Mandel to withdraw their bid. A copy of the bid tabulation form is attached for your perusal. It's recommended that the Board of Trustees approve Mandels Incorporated to withdraw the bid for the Pascagoula High School roof replacement.
We've heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
I knew that was too good to be true. But yeah, honest mistake.
It's very uncommon. So this is I can think of one other time this has happened, and I know the project it happened on. So very, very uncommon. Does not happen often. So thank goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank goodness he found it now.
Well, that's that too.
Right.
So,
You know. All in favor, say aye.
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 Bids for the Pascagoula High School roof replacement were open on December 4, 2018. A total of 5 bids were received. Mr. Ron Floric, architect, has recommended that all bids be rejected and rebid the project. As recommended, the Board of Trustees reject all bids and rebid the Pascagoula High School roof replacement project.
Coupled with that is this motion. Do I hear a motion to approve the superintendent's recommendation?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion here on this item? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
5-0. And in there should be the item L.
If you refresh, it's there.
Yeah, I'm gonna cheat. Not risk this.
Trying to read the item.
Yeah, I got it.
Families First for Mississippi has partnered with New Learning Resources School District to create a second chance opportunity for students who are at risk of dropping out or failing to graduate from their cohort. The alternative graduation option has been approved by the Mississippi Department of Education and is in its third year of existence. Pascagoula-Gautier School District has increased graduation rate each year over the last 7 years, but still there's a very small number of students who are not graduating due to the state test requirement or other extenuating circumstances. Families First program will provide an alternative so these students could earn a high school diploma and continue to move forward with their lives. It's recommended the Board of Trustees approve the Families First alternate graduation route from the students' memorandum of understanding for the 2018-19 school year.
So moved.
There we go. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded that we approve the superintendent's recommendation. Mr. Johnson, you had some questions that need to be addressed.
Yes, just clarification, really. And yeah, we had purview, and I think it's one of those things where, you know, it's probably best to have everyone in the room so you're not playing a bunch of phone tag. And I just want to make sure that I understand what it is that we're saying here, really. And I understand the process, and I think it's great. Facility-wise, staff-wise, I'm going to make sure I see the clear picture, really. So if we accepted this, we would dedicate a space and a staff member / members to facilitate the program at each campus. That's what I guess I'm needing a little clarification on.
Right. We have, it's an online program.
Mm-hmm.
So we have plenty of space in computer labs or in the library where they can be supervised by a licensed staff member. Most likely would be that librarian.
Okay.
We're not going to take away a teaching unit from a core classroom to run this program.
Okay.
It'll operate simultaneously, you know, among the other duties that the person is, you know, whoever that staff member happens to be that monitors the program. We also have student intervention specialists, and at least at Pascagoula High School, we still have a career center director that actually, theirs is actually licensed. It's not required, but theirs does have a teaching license. So we have several options that we're not going to take away from the other students.
Is this our first year of doing a program like this, or is this just an annual contract that's renewed?
No, we've never done this in our district.
Okay.
Other districts across the state have been doing this over the last couple of years.
Okay.
Successful?
Kettle has used it, and they've been successful with it. This is a very much, guys, the last chance.
Sure.
Because my thing is, we're spending an awful lot of money to graduate students, and I want to know why we're not getting through it with our process in place. So this is held out for the most, what would the word be, at-risk students who are probably out of their cohort from a graduation impact anyway. They've already missed the window, has an impact on our graduation rate. It's already been impacted, and this is about just stopping the dropouts from that point on. Is that close to what you're?
Yes, sir. Some are in the cohort. Some may have, you know, already exhausted that opportunity. And I want you to understand that before we turn these kids over to this program, we are still putting in every bit of effort as if this thing didn't exist to get these kids an opportunity to graduate with a diploma from our school district. But if we can't do that, because we can't graduate kids that don't pass state tests. And any non-public school student that graduates, they haven't taken one state test. These kids, some of them have taken the same test multiple times. And whatever the barrier happens to be, whether it be a language barrier, whether it be an IEP, whether it be circumstances outside of the school and the academic realm that have caused these kids to find themselves in these positions, we can keep them, have them not graduate with their cohort, force them to come back, but our success rate with that and even getting them back is even more of a challenge. Well, I'd rather have them graduate from our district. At the end of the day, I ultimately want them to graduate, period.
Sure.
And we will hold them and push them as hard as we can to get their diploma from us. But if we can't find success there, then you guys know the success we've had with graduation rate over the last several years. So it's not playing the numbers game. We're trying to do what's in the best interest of students who may have run up against something that we just can't get past.
That's right. And everybody, I think, puts forth maximum effort to see that our students graduate. So I applaud that. I just was making sure I saw right. It's still going to be facilitated in-house, which I like, because then they're still in a familiar setting. And a lot of times you'll see that. I know several students personally that are great students, have great grades. Test anxiety gets people, and like you said, with the current standards, if there's a state test that they cannot conquer for whatever reason, that can hold them back, and then you end up in these situations. So those small clarifications I was just looking to get this evening, so if you guys like it, I love it.
I had a question.
Sure.
I don't know if you're not really asking to explain this, and I don't know if you're prepared for it. If you're not, so don't. But I was given some information that there were like only 10 students that didn't graduate last year with a diploma last year from Gautier High School. Does this cover the 10 that don't, or does this program cover kind of like the 10 that didn't graduate, or?
This is currently enrolled students. So if those students that didn't graduate last year are still enrolled with us, they would be eligible. I don't know the status of those kids.
No, I understand that, but I'm just saying, are you thinking that there are 10 kids that aren't graduating and we're working on, is it a real small number?
Yes, sir.
That's what I'm...
And that number, that may be the high end on the Gautier side. There may be a few more in Pascagoula because they have a larger number of students, but they also have a larger number of Yale students. And we found that has been one of the barriers, has been the language barrier, and as it revolves around state testing. We have a real good success rate, but there are just some kids that come to us late. In my opinion, it's not a fair system that they're trying to acquire an entire new language in a very short amount of time, and there's not anything that we can do. We can modify in the classroom and provide additional support, but we can't do anything other than extend the time in the test. And I've been to some countries where it doesn't matter how long I stand in front of a sign in the language that I don't know how to read, it's just not going to come to me. So, I want to give these kids, a fair chance.
Is the program an English-only program, or is it bilingual or multilingual?
I really have to check into that. I don't know if there's an option on the second language possibility. My understanding is that it's English only, but that's something I probably need to look into. Because that would certainly help some of our students if they did have access to information material in their native language.
Are we going to have cubicles or anything set up, like, there's going to be people moving in and around the library and all, and, to keep them distracting these students, like some kind of little side show on our computer or something?
Well, we can offer that. I don't know that is going to be a problem, but if it becomes one, we're certainly equipped to, isolate a section of the library or the lab to, make sure they're not distracted.
Any other discussion? Thank you, Mr. Rodolphus, for water. Call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That clears all the action items. The next items are information.
I got the attachment up, maybe that's. Okay, that was, I had the attachment up there.
We clear now?
We're clear.
Next items are our information reports, the vandalism. So there's none for this period, but still have several restitutions to be accomplished.
Mr. Kincaid, can I make a comment?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Sessoms, on the vandalism issue, this latest vandalism issue that we dealt with, which is one of the only ones we've dealt with, I'd like us to go to the city. Greg, I want to find out if it was that the city was operating that night. But we need to put pressure, since we know who the people were who did it, that we take legal action to get that restitution for the damage that was done to that new concession area. We need to pursue that vigorously, because we know who all these subjects were, and we need to pursue it vigorously. Because I see zero restitution has been received, and they need to pay for what they did.
Get a demand letter out somehow. The next item is the discipline report that we're working on. Any comments there from board members? Just not very many discipline things to report. The final one's the construction update. Megan was trying to get the roof replacement done, and
So that'll re-advertise this Wednesday, and then we'll reopen a bid on January 15th.
they can, that's a 4-month project?
It was 160 days. and then everybody else
160 to
was good.
360 days.
160 to 325 was the range.
Okay, so
Somewhere
that
between 160 and 240 is probably a pretty good range. So,
goes throughout a school year, plus summer.
yeah.
The advantage to the rebid is the potential to begin the project in Gautier earlier if the price comes in right. So we could possibly get both those projects done, through next fiscal year, but still have that process worked out before we ever get to next fiscal year,
Right.
which would put us way ahead of schedule on that.
Foreman Arch is still behind. Then we do have a delay happening at Trent Lot on the gym floor. The moisture of the concrete is too high, so we cannot put down the rubber floor until the moisture gets to 5 below. And right now it's running somewhere between 5.5 and 5.8. We're hoping the cold weather's going to help us, but it can't keep raining every 3 days with the cold weather. We've got it closed up, trying to filter the whole AC system so we can keep it running dehumidified some. But it can't rain 2 inches and the AC take care of that.
On the Performing Arts Center, do we have a rough estimate when we might be dried in?
We'll
What would
know
you think?
We'll
tomorrow.
know tomorrow, we'll meet with them in the
They sent it Friday update.
Because they thought they'd be there by now.
So we're not gonna be able to move gym classes into the Trent Lot Gym in
Not January,
January 7th.
because the bleachers can't go into the floor,
Right.
so we should have went in last Wednesday or Thursday. So we're losing a day every day the moisture's high.
How long does it take to put the gym full when we do get it ready?
It's more of a curing time than it is.
It's about 2 weeks total, maybe a little bit longer.
I'd say it's probably a week to put it in and 2 weeks for it to cure.
I mean, that's the challenge is, I mean, the bleacher guy's not local to Pascagoula and the
Right.
gym floor, like none of these people are local.
And we missed our
It's gotta
install.
get rescheduled, and that's. I
We
mean, that's
missed
just
our
common.
install date with him, so we're at his mercy kind of now.
They're supposed to test it this afternoon, and I did not get an update on where we are, so we're meeting with them
I can't
tomorrow.
imagine with all the rain we had, it get better.
I think if it was good news, I would have heard, would be my guess, so.
I just want to make sure you're aware of that.
The concrete takes a while to get rid of the moisture.
But we are going to proceed with the classrooms that are going to be built in the gym area where PE is currently being held. And we're going to move PE into elementary education in this building.
I think it was a raised eyebrow and a finger. You are not moving the gym until the new gym is open. And I said, yes, ma'am.
Good call.
All right. Any other comments on the construction update and our construction projects that we have underway?
One quick note on the extra list that you approved, the softball dugouts, one of them has already had the block laid at Pascagoula. They have demoed the Gautier project, and the blocks were delivered today. So both those dugouts are going to be on track, and Coach Freeman is now looking for some really good Nerf benches to put in with backs on them in there, if they'll fit. We don't know that they'll fit yet. But I brought you a picture, Coach, so hopefully we can get to that, and it'll work.
Yeah, I mean, we're doing the dugouts at PHS and GHS girls softball. We're replacing the VCT in room 28 at PHS. We're getting quotes to paint the concession at PHS. We're looking at trying to put a new canopy at PHS softball. We're installing a new marquee at Gautier Middle School. We're doing some drainage, working on getting some quotes at drainage work at Gautier Elementary School. Singing River, we're adding speed bumps where people just won't slow down by the office. Trent Lot, we're redoing the sign above the dining room. And we're getting quotes from Collin Middle School, pressure washing the front entrance and the whole corridor area. So, I mean, those are other things we're working on besides.
Those are your jobs, huh?
Yeah.
The Performing Arts is,
But the main point of that is, remember the work session we had last year when we had the big debate about pressure washing. And we have located a pressure washer locally that does have the proper bonding and insurance. So we're just gradually doing that pressure washing throughout the district.
Would it happen to be those the top three, or would it be, I don't know,
I'm not sure.
coastal, something? Coastal.
Yeah, what was the name of it?
Amazing.
Amazing.
Oh.
Yeah.
And we just finished Gautier High, front area, gym area, in their courtyard during Thanksgiving.
I think Calmer's next.
Collars and
We'll clean that up real well.
thank you, gentlemen. Item B is annual report of kids that are living inside and outside corporate limits. That's doesn't influence us but it is the legal basis in state law on how many representatives from the added territory, i.e. Gautier. Because at one time they were unincorporated, but had joined the petition 1950 some odd to join Pascagoula. And at that point, when the student numbers in the area increased, you got to 2 members, and that was the end of it. So that's where we are. This is our annual report on how those numbers align. And of course, Gautier Middle has a significant number of students outside the corporate city of Pascagoula. Surprise, surprise. But that's what it. So that's our report there, gentlemen. And then the monthly financial reports. And even though it's December, Ms. Grant, we're gonna have money at the end of the month?
We are.
Because I know it is.
So it's getting interesting.
We get tax money in January, February, and March, and that has to stretch clear through December. So we're always looking to see, okay, how's our bank balance going to be at the end of December? Because we've got to meet payroll. And I ask her every once in a while about how she's doing.
Nothing in brackets yet.
No, nothing in. Any questions there, gentlemen? If not, we'll go on to Section 5. These are the Board of Trustees items, and the first one on there is board policies GBA through GCS. There's a whole bunch of policies in the G section that we've had the opportunity to review and make comments on. Do we have any comments that need to be turned into Mr. Rodolphe?
Dale, no, I didn't see anything.
Just a couple and nothing major at all. I know they've been working real hard to try to make sure we do away with the NCLB and go forward with the SSA. The GBC is one there where we've got some NCLB verbiage to look at. And then it looks to me like GBS and GCS are identical policies. That like one just needs to be stricken. But that's it.
Okay. And it's down to have time to have our discussion and closed meeting about the advice.
I did want to give you an update through Eva. There was a question asked by Mr. Marks at the last meeting regarding our,
The data breach prevention, you wanted me to double check it was DFA. And so I looked at that policy and I looked at MSBA sample policy and double checked. And there is some verbiage in there regarding electronic files and making sure that we're secure on the electronic side. And I believe Mr. Sessons looked at it too. So we are good.
were there any other policy questions? I know the NCLB stuff, we've been be working through that. Anything else y'all can remember from last month that you have a question about now? Because we have conscientiously went through it to try and fix it. And the other part of that, don't hesitate to give us a call, guys, if there's an issue or a question about any policies.
One of my concerns on the data breach policy was that the board would be advised immediately if there was a breach. I'm not sure that is in the policy. Check on
I
that.
believe it is, but I'll triple check it again and I'll get with Mr. Sessons on it.
Another question I had was on the bus policy. You mentioned last time speed limits on buses, and was there any progress on that?
It's still looking at it. It's something we have to discuss with the legislators about them making an adjustment.
But it is accurate, as you stated. It's accurate.
That's right.
I'm sorry?
It is as you stated. The speed limits.
Oh,
That was correct. That is what's in the law and everything.
oh, that's in the law.
Yeah, it's state law.
Yeah.
So it has to be addressed.
But yeah, that's the only policies I have record of from last month. So.
We have 6 items here listed as items for potential executive session that we need to discuss among ourselves, and there'd be 3 requests for assignments to elementary schools, and 3 legal matters that keep recurring on our calendar. And we need to discuss about the status of those. Do I hear a motion to remove ourselves to the closed meeting?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We'll leave and all can say Merry Christmas to each other. We'll be back.